newly appointed venture partner for 500 startups. Koichi Saito, the first K of KK Fund, a fund that invests in seed startups. We will discuss a bit about that. And Jeffrey Paine, Uncle Jeff for us, Thailand ecosystem, founder of Golden Gate Ventures, investments in seed, round A and above. So without further ado, we'll start very fast with the first question. The first, just before everything, I would like to say that we have a very open panel, and if anybody will please listen to us, and if you have any question at the end, we will choose 2 people to ask a question when we have 5 minutes left, and we will have sort of like an interactive discussion. So please feel free to come up with any question that is interesting for you. The first question will be about the sectors. We'll run down with all the investors and ask what are the sectors that you're looking at. Please, Eitan.
Hello, everybody. So for sure, I'm not going to invest in the clothing because I'm the only guy with tie hair. So, but it's a good question, and basically because I cannot rely on my memory, so it will be very interesting just to read out the Wall Street Journal 2 weeks ago. He came out with the most 25 promising companies in the world. So just for you to know, the fields were e-commerce, fintech, B2B, cyber, health, education and media, and consumer gadget. Who do you think was the most favorite one? Okay. So it was consumer gadget. And afterwards it was like the healthcare. So the e-commerce, the cyber, the fintech, it was like 2-3 companies. By the way, small proud, out of these 25 companies, 18 were American, 1 from the UK, and 6 were Israelis. So just a little bit proud. So, but it means that now when we look at it from investor perspective, so definitely, the infrastructure is still important. This is why, you know, if you go for the e-commerce and fintech and the cyber, so these are tools. But still, it seems that the world is now trying to encourage other fields as well. There is more time. So they are focusing on things that this is not, when they speak about consumer gadgets, it means that we now have more time to spend. So.
Thanks, Eitan. Kunano.
So at 500 Startup, we invest in a wide range of companies. So for example, we invested in fintech company like Omise in Thailand, or to logistics like Grab. We also have done some space company like Gilmore Space in Singapore. So basically, we don't really have a limit. It's more about a lot of companies who are becoming more digital. So McKinsey did a ranking about the digitalization of any industry. So of course, tech and telecom are more digital than farming. But basically, we're just looking at any kind of industry, and we just look at who is really solving a problem, and then which kind of team do we believe can do this kind of thing, and then we invest in those companies very early because we come at the seed stage.
Hi. So we used to invest in a lot of online marketplaces, actually. Yeah, we still like online marketplace. That business model, network effect is huge. So I still look at the space. Besides that, of course, the fintech, especially the lending space, lending platform, including a peer-to-peer lending, supply chain financing, and balance sheet lending. Yeah, there are a lack of the data of the credit scoring in Southeast Asia. So I think the alternative lending solution is so much needed in Southeast Asia. And then insurance tech, although the market size is huge, but there is no leading player here yet. And finally, I think the HR tech. I think the HR space is so much behind in Southeast Asia. It's still Web 1.0, 2.0, something like that. So I'm waiting for someone who is disrupting that space. Yeah, that's all.
There's two parts. There's the consumer side. I think healthcare is coming back. I think a lot of things are just about timing and country. So healthcare, getting yourself to be healthier. So as countries improve, you make more money. You tend to have more spare cash to make sure that you are healthier, you live longer. So to me, it's taking care of your health, taking care of your love life and family life, taking care of money and your career, and then quality of life. So media entertainment is around quality of life. Like HR, jobs, even in fintech. We will usually start with lending money. The next step is we will teach you how to make money, right? So, and then of course the B2B side, there's a lot of things still broken. I think there's a lot of new innovations, but that will take a bit of time. But as far as returns-wise, like the biggest companies, it's usually still B2C. But that doesn't mean you should give up your dreams if you want to build a B2B company.
So point number 2 was love life?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Good for single people. So without further ado, we will try to go to the second part, which is very interesting for any startup, is what are the criteria that the investors are looking at when they actually check in any startup. So please, Eitan.
So I assume we will get to it later, but basically for us it will be, I think, 3 main things, and they are all connected to each other. One is the profit's interesting part, and the second thing that relates to expansion will be answering market needs. And I think these are the 2 main, if we need to see. And by the way, from our angle, we tend to be a little bit more conservative these days. I assume we'll get into it. So we will probably try to look for something that may be on the serious side, something that we can actually go to the market with. So this more or less cover our interest.
Yeah. Arnaud, I would like to know actually in regards to corporates, how they actually looking for, what are the...
Southeast Asia, especially like Thailand and Singapore, you get a lot of corporate engaging with startups. Usually depending of what they want, they do that at very different stages. So when we talk about corporate VC, usually they come more at Series A and Series B when they're already a product market fit and they're reducing the risk for them to work with those startups. So usually they come quite late stage. It's quite rare to see corporate doing seed investment. There is some example, but this is quite rare. Usually it's like later stage. But then you get corporate who start to engage very early. If you look at Microsoft or AWS, that's what we call like startup program. So it's more like giving cloud credit for free. They do that very early. You just start your company, go on their website, you sign up, and you get some credits. So some of them start very early, but for investment is a bit later. Usually to reduce the risk for them. At 500 startup, for the investment, of course, we look at the founders too. Team is very important. We look also at the markets. What is the size of the markets? Because you're also looking to get exits, and you need to have those companies the ability to grow and be acquired later on their journey or do an IPO. You also look at downstream capital. If you do investment, is it like Jeffrey looking to invest after us to grow this company? Or if there's nobody willing to put money and the company can be break-even, they may die. So you also need to look after, is it any downstream investors who may have some appetite? So we need also to listen about what Series A and B investors are looking for, because this will make the life a bit easier for a portfolio company too. You look also about, this is more like return of investment you may get. You look at the market, as I mentioned, the size, the team, and we look also, of course, at the products and what they're bringing, how they want to do that. Because usually there's not only one person trying to solve one problem in the region. You may find like 10, 20 people. If you go in China, maybe 20 to 40 people trying to solve the same problem. So then you need to look at who is offering the best solution, who you think are the best team. So you need to look at all these kind of things. And then, of course, you also look at the value, I mean, the cost of the deal, like what should be the valuation of the company, how much you will invest in. You may get some deals that may look too expensive, so you may don't go there. But sometimes it's a mistake. I mean, we miss Uber. We felt Uber was too expensive. It was a 10 million valuation, and we're like, this is too expensive, we don't do it.
And you lost a debt of $4 billion.
So now it's like 70 billion valuation. So yeah, it wasn't expensive if we knew that it would be a 70 billion company.
Please, Koichi, for seed round.
Okay, we invest in the seed stage, right? So at that stage, it's all about founders. So what does founder mean, right, from your side? So first of all, as Eitan say, founder's profile is whether they're related to the startups, founder's background and startups, and if the founder can leverage their network and their business experience to the startups from day one, of course it's a plus. And if founder have a family business network and if he can leverage the family business network from day one, that's going to be the additional value. And then I also look at the commitment from the founder, meaning the money. So if founder, never put money in the startup and then they ask money for the BC, we don't invest. And I think finally, I look at the founder. So at least one of the founders should be a great salesperson. So founders all the time they have to convince many people, not only the investor, right, but also the future client and potential employee and all stakeholder, right? So it's one of the founders should be able to convince so many people. So if your team and all engineer background, maybe you better to get someone who is good at sales.
Yes.
Just maybe to add on commitment, something that we also saw sometime in Southeast Asia is like founders doing like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 ventures at the same time, or doing one part-time, and they still have a full-time job, and they're like, hey, invest in my company, and then maybe later I come full-time. Initially, we prefer to see someone really full-time on it, and just doing one ventures and not like doing 3, 4, or 5.
This is something that is very, very important. You see a lot of people that, in my opinion, in Southeast Asia, that are not always fully committed for a startup. Startup is like any other business. You need to grow with it, and you need to, of course, it's very difficult when you need to have revenue streams, when you need to have a salary and you cannot, you have to work lean as a startup. But I really think it's a very valid point that if the team is not committed to the startup, no one will invest in the company because they require the team to be fully committed. Please, Jeff, for round A.
Yeah, so just a point on founders with 5 name cards. It's very common in emerging countries. The reason is when the ecosystems are early, there's no money for you. So you have to make money somewhere else, right? So it's much easier to do that than to work for a company and then do things on the side, right? It's easier to do consulting and do other things. So I think Series A, what we look for is, I don't know, most of them have already clarified most things. I think what we do have to, or what I have to tell you guys is, number one, startups are very, very hard to do. Understatement. Majority of companies you see actually out there are actually not fundable by venture capitalists. But you don't know that, right? You always think your startup is the one that will raise money. So that's the 2 contexts for you. I do need to see, like that you can scale outside of at least one country, right? So when I put more money in, I need more money back, so you have to be big. But some VCs are okay with being small. Then I will invest at seed level. Right? Because if I can sell you for 30 million, I'll go in at seed level. But if I don't think I can sell you for 30 million, I will not even go in at A level, correct? So market size is actually the most important thing, which many founders actually don't understand what that means. So focus on that. If you don't understand, ask any of us what that means. We can actually tell you, based on what all the companies we've seen around the region, we can tell you kind of
So maybe just to clarify on that point, you would just make exception for Indonesia, would be the only country where you will invest in a company would just do one country, or there's some industry where you think that maybe in Thailand or Malaysia, Philippines, they can be big enough for you?
Yeah, so the reality, 4 years ago, I would say yes. Anything Indonesia, I'll put money. Now, no. Now it depends on what you do, how you make money, and timing. Because now everything has changed. The Grabs are there, the Gojeks will kill you, the Chinese are coming to kill you, everyone is coming to kill you. So if you cannot compete, no matter how much money you have, you're still gonna die, right? So now it's even worse, right? The criteria we all are looking at is even worse. You have team, you have execution, you have market size, you have scalability, you must have differentiation, you must know how to expand, you must know how to speak 4 or 5 languages in your company. It's just ridiculous the amount of things we were checking. But you don't have to worry about that, right? You just execute what you need to, right? Find your team that you are comfortable with and do what you need to. But you need to talk to most of us, right? You know, individuals who have seen things from the West and from Israel, they can tell you, especially in enterprise, they can tell you what are the best stuff in the world. And then what the C guys like, what the A guys like, and then what the B, C guys like. You do need to talk to many people so that you know where your company is positioned. It's very difficult now, FYI.
Thank you very much. We'll go to something that is very interesting is what is the difference between the Thai and Asian startups or Thai and other startups? So it will be very interesting to know. I would expect Eitan if you can explain. You know what? I'll leave Eitan for the end because it might take a long time. I will start with Jeff over the difference between Thai startups and ASEAN startups, other ASEAN startups.
I think not much. I think generally, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, Indonesia, they don't expand out of their home country usually. Singapore, Malaysia, they have to because if they don't, they're probably going to die. So, but there's also a little bit of DNA and history because they're kind of used to it. A lot of the people that work in these two countries, they tend to have jobs that cover the region anyway. So that's one difference. The other difference is just the amount of money that is looking at each country, right? So right now, the two countries that has the lowest amount of attention is probably Vietnam and Philippines. So if you're gonna start a startup in these two countries and you need 4 rounds of money, you're gonna find a real tough, road ahead. But if you're in Indonesia doing the same thing, it's slightly easier because a lot of money is looking at that country. Okay, so that's the only two difference I know.
Please, Eitan, I would like to listen about Thai-Israeli.
How long do I have?
Half a minute.
So I think basically from us, and humbly we've been here for several years, so I think we learn a little bit about the profile. I think it's the border of the vision. And as Jeffrey just mentioned, the issue of expansion, but it goes, I think, more deep. From some reason that I still need to understand it, the entrepreneurs here limit the borders of their vision. And I come from Israel. So, it's not a secret that we are called Startup Nation. And there are many things that I can discuss now why. But if I need to summarize in one word, we have no borders. Like we always see something and we say how we can be the best, how we can overcome this challenge, and we just try to face it. Now, but on the other hand, and you see, I'm here. It means that I believe in your economy. I believe in this industry, and I think you just need to do some kind of thing in order to try and adjust into it. 30 more seconds, Barak. And what when I just came here, I saw many big startups, let's say, that I already saw the solution in other countries. outside of Thailand. So I said, hey, where's the innovation here? And I tried to check your IP system. Not many IPs are registered outside of Thailand, by the way. But then I came to a conclusion that maybe this is the evolution that Thailand needs to pass. Maybe you start with some kind of like a localization of other things or other concept, and then you grow into it, and you have, by the way, a much more bigger market than many of them. So.
Thanks. Arnaud, I think you want to say something quickly.
So what you just mentioned, I compare that more as a Maslow pyramid. So you just fulfill first the basic needs, and especially like infrastructure. That is a difference that what you have now in the region about payment, about logistics, about cloud. Start to have a little bit more infrastructure to process those kind of things. So helping more companies to scale and build like more innovative services. So it's just a question of maturity of the ecosystem, and innovation will come. And there's a lot of leapfrog, so this will come. When we look at size of the market, I think like small countries like Israel or New Zealand, they're very small in terms of ecosystem, population, but they do a lot of B2B. And Singapore may move more to B2B and deep tech because also of the size of the market, and anyway they will go out. And I think as Jeffrey mentioned, of course a smaller one like Singapore, or Israel, or New Zealand, know from day one they need to go overseas. So from day one they think about what will be the next countries. The change of the other one, a mid-size, is what happened to France for a long period of time, where a company just stay in France, 60 million people, enough to survive, but not really to scale. And then someone from US, maybe slightly less good product, way more money, way more marketing, come kill you. So what happened is recently we got a few companies like Criteo, Thailand, or BlaBlaCar. They managed to expand for the first two more in the US, BlaBlaCar more on the east part. And they really managed to expand. For example, they sent one of the co-founders in the US, they expand in the US very quickly. So this is very interesting. So, and since those few companies have done that, now a lot of other companies are looking to do it and build like more at a bigger scale, and not look only at France, but it took a while for French company to do.
Actually, you just shoot to the next question, which is what stage are we in the life cycle of the economy in Thailand, or maybe outside? Are we in a bubble at a certain stage, both from the perspective of the startup or the investor? So Koichi, maybe you can answer this first.
So I think in Thailand, I don't think it's bubble. It's hype, I guess. It's a lot. See, a lot of Series A venture fund nowadays setting up, right? From the bank and corporate, but still there are lack of the capital in the Series B and Series C. So yeah, I mean, still lack of the capital. Valuation is still not crazy enough in Thailand. In some part in Indonesia, my valuation might be crazy a little bit, but still, Thailand has a still healthy ecosystem. But for I think the bubble still, I think a necessary evil, necessary catalyst for the startup ecosystem. So I think we would like to see a little bit more micro bubble. Yeah.
Jeff.
So where is Thailand? Let's see. So every country goes through a cycle. So Thailand actually went up in 2012. You know, when Haba first started, that was the first time everything went up. Then it corrected. Then the bank started the funds. Then now all the corporates started the funds. Then now it's coming back up again. So I've seen this happen in Vietnam. I've seen this happen in Malaysia. Singapore is kind of a little bit like that, but not, you know, the dips aren't too big. So right now I think it's the second up cycle, and there's a lot more money here, a lot more companies, as you can see. I think this year there's a lot more companies than the previous year.
For me, I just want to say that two things for that. First of all, because I think that there is sort of like a bubble, but it depends on how you look at it. Because as Jeff said, there's a lot of startups that are very social, but they don't have any IP, as Kunitan was saying. When you don't have any IP, it's very difficult to actually scale outside. So you can do adaptation, you can go into your market, but when you want to go to outside of your country, you really have to have something that is a bit unique, something that is a bit better, you can scale up, you can have the right partners, you can have the right people. So just to close the loop about the differences, because for me, there's I'm an Israeli guy, and between Israel and Thailand, there's a lot of differences, but some things are parallel. I think Thai Greng Jai should actually stay Thai Greng Jai, right? I don't want you to change everything to be like the Israeli chutzpah. I think it's a bit of difference. Thai needs to adapt to the market, try to collaborate as much as you can, share knowledge with other countries, in my opinion, and see how is it possible to grow together the ecosystem. Kunita.
Yes, and I just want to complete what Jeffrey just said. At least from our point of view, what we see now, every second week we are hearing about another CVC that is opening a fund here, and it's like, so it seems that there is money now in the market, and so it's good for the startup companies. So there are more funding now. The question, if there is, I don't think that now there is any bubble. You can ask it, let's say, within 2 years from now when the valuation issue will come. I don't know yet. But again, I think Thailand really in a good position, basically because you have good industry. So when you try to think about what you want to develop, please look at your own industry. You have money here from funding resources. We are here also. So this is the way that I would go to.
I just want to ask if anybody in the audience have any question for the panel. Yeah, please. Kun Kitipong from Penguin Tea. Please.
My question is, you guys are the VC, right? And if you were a startup, a part of the money, what is the criteria? I think the seed level, what is the criteria that you're looking for that company that you work with the future?
Sorry again, maybe you.
Sorry, I know you guys are in the VC, right? But if you were a startup and you are in the seed state, right? A part of the money, what else that you're looking for the VC? A part of the money. That is your criteria to select to be the partner.
Actually, it's also about the people. It's mostly about the people, especially in the seed stage, if I understand correctly the question.
Yeah, part of the money.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
So please excuse me, I'm not objective with this guy. Their name is Penguin Tea. They have an incredible startup company, and they are now trying to raise money, so you should approach them afterwards. Okay? I hope I did my promotion well. But coming back, again, I think your company is a good example because it's a team of good founders. And I think all of us said here the same, and the expansion. I think that's basically more or less what we answered before. Okay? This is what we will look for.
No, but I think one thing that Kunano was mentioning is that maybe if it's not a VC, if it's a VC, it's a bit more complicated. I think of a different model for a VC. I think VC should have maybe also some mentors within the VC to go through the startups they invest in. I think you should provide a certain lead. Today you see a lot of VCs, they put the money, but I don't want to say it's a dumb money because they do have strategic alliances. I think that the startup should actually be clear about what he wants from the VC, and I can assure you that the VC will have the right collaboration and capabilities to provide. But yeah.
I think that, yeah, the two important points, right? So whether that VC can follow on, I mean, it's about money, but it's very important. They can do the follow-on investment in the next round. This is the one. And then maybe look at their LP, the investor behind. They could be a potential buyer of your startup. Or let's say if you want to aim at setting your company into Japanese market, maybe you have to choose Japanese VC. Or maybe you want to aiming at in China.
Where would they find a Japanese VC?
You get Rakuten. No, but if you do travel, they do travel too. But I think what Koichi mentioned, it was really related to financial matters. If you look at support, I will look at company. I mean, VC will really understand what you do. So if you're in the travel industry, who understands what you do? Who gives you good feedback? But also who can open a lot of doors for you. So who can help you to talk to Amadeus, Agoda, or any airlines in the region, or bank for payment, Alipay, Tencent, etc. Right? Who can help you to do that? And then those guys can help you to open doors in those large corporations, helping you to do partnership, to have those people to maybe sell what you're doing, etc.
That was a general reply, and I will be more specific, and I will tell you that a few rows next to you, there's Amadeus, Senior Vice President.
Talk to Simon.
You can talk directly with Simon. Any other question? or introduction? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to ask two questions. Can I? Okay, first question. Out of a lot of categories of business that are starting up in Thailand now, which are the three rising or trend that start up in Thailand? Do you think it's going to be the trend? That's the first question. Second question is that some of the startups that has already been starting and getting into the market and start working, how many percentage do you think they're going to survive in the second stage? Thank you.
Okay, so who wants to take the trends part? It's the easiest part.
So I think, again, coming back to what's happening, at least from my point of view here, I think logistic solutions are very relevant. This is one thing. And also, I think also two things that I would consider, it's the healthcare, and maybe this I put in brackets, the agri-tech. Okay? So at least from my point of view, these are three interesting fields that might be relevant. As for the second question, it's a very good one. You know, the statistics speaks sometimes less than 10%. Okay? But again, it's up to the founder's profile and nature.
Jeff, you want to answer that? The trends?
There are many, so I would just pick one. Healthcare for the elderly, especially here in Thailand. It's a very unique situation. It's Thailand, Singapore, and Japan.
Yeah. Actually, I just add to this one, just seconds, Koichi, because healthcare for elderly is one of the most important sectors that I think we can invest in. The markets, even in China, with also a China for the Great Plague, right? People are growing up. There's not enough children to support them. They cannot stay in the house. So they have a lot of IoT, a lot of automation, a lot of technologies that design today, sensors, monitoring for elderly people. There are many things that I would actually look, and I actually saw a few companies when I was working that are very interesting to look at because they're actually focusing. They targeted the problem and they're looking for the solution. And for me, this is something that is very interesting. They started from the need, and this is how they created a solution. Koichi?
Just pick at one. Okay, it's B2C. I think live commerce. So yeah, people are starting to buy through the YouTube and the video apps. So it's happening in Japan and China already in the US. So maybe Thailand follow that trend too. So yeah, live commerce.
Okay, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for the panelists. Thank you very much for coming. I would like to thank everybody here. I would like to finish with two sentences. One sentence, because I heard it before, that the money will follow ideas. Actually, money will follow people. If you have the right people in the company, you can pivot, you can execute, you can do a lot of... Don't compromise on the people that you have in your company. And again, one more thing that was said before, they gave an example of a startup called Maktub from Jordan. So Maktub in Arabic means that, in a free translation, that nothing is set in stone. And I think these are good words to give to any entrepreneur. Nothing is set in stones. You can do anything. You can take whatever you have, whatever idea that you have. If you come in to solve a need in the market, believe me, somebody will look. Try to find something that is a bit more sophisticated. And you know what? You have very, very good people here in the panel, here in the event, and in your country. Just ask. People would love to assist. People would love to support. And no one will be more happier than them to actually get you to be a bit better. I really would like to see a unicorn from Thailand very, very soon. Something that is actually very viable. I think it's possible, but there has to be more collaboration, more knowledge sharing, and more data sharing between the people.
So from a Southeast Asian to an Israeli, to probably wrap this up, the reason Israel is what they are is actually culture, back against the wall, and they are very confident. Southeast Asians don't have that. We are not back against the wall all the time, and we are not very confident people. So as a Singaporean, the only way we can get close to them is we have to travel a lot and to get influenced by them, get influenced by all the people that have weird, big visions. Most of them won't make it, but at least you have met someone who is a bit crazy, right? And then that will influence you to be a little bit more crazy. I don't want you to be like completely 180, right? It's just influence. So
now it means, Jeffrey, I have to take the time.
So travel more. Yeah, travel more.
And with that note, I would like to invite all of you to come to visit Israel. I think even just experiencing the ecosystem in Tel Aviv, just walking on the street, looking at startups, it's everywhere. All the cafes, every 2 people have 3 different ideas. It's amazing to see. They actually argue with each other. Somebody's giving his own opinion, the other person replies, and then he's changing his mind, has given a different opinion. So at the end of the day, really, just don't be afraid to talk about anything. Share knowledge, do brainstorming with your team, and just get more ideas. And believe me, these investors, that's what they're looking for at the end of the day. They're looking for something new. They're looking for you to excite them, and to give them the push to invest in you. That's what they need. Believe me, the money is here. It's all about the people. Thank you very much, everybody. Khop mak kap.
All right, thank you very much for all the speakers, and thank you very much for the moderator, Mr. Barak Sharabi, Chief Global Strategy Infinity Technology from Israel. Thank you for all, everybody. Thank you very much. And the next session